Our anime begins with an uncontrollable magical card causing a place to explode. A young crying boy is protected by a genie. The boy asks, "Who am I? Death would be easier than living my life in a place like this." The genie replies, "Unfortunately, I can't tell you that. But in return, I can use the energy of this place to grant you any building you desire. Wealth, glory, power, whatever your wish, just ask, and I will make it come true." Amidst his tears, the boy thinks and makes a wish. Inside a poor city, we meet a young man named Alibaba. He's an ordinary guy who works transporting goods. His dream is to enter the magical tower and open it. As usual, other people mock his dream, telling him to stop dreaming so much. He goes back to his job, transporting goods, and is surprised to find a young boy inside his cart, eating all the merchandise. The boy innocently introduces himself as Aladdin and says he's a traveler. Alibaba is about to lose his temper at him, but at that moment, the owner of the goods arrives to check that everything is in order, insisting on inspecting it himself. He's shocked to find Aladdin calmly eating the merchandise as if it were his own. To make matters worse, Aladdin starts poking the merchant's belly and asks him, "Why does your body feel so much like a girl's?" The merchant gets furious and tells Alibaba, "I'm going to make you pay for this. I'll make you work as my slave until you repay the cost of the goods your friend here ate. Don't even think about running away." That night, Alibaba returns home, cursing the merchant and Aladdin for getting him into this mess. He goes to get some food from a box, but finds Aladdin inside it again, eating all the apples until they're gone. Alibaba feels like he's going crazy and can't understand why he's doing this, but his hands are tied. He calms down a bit and thinks to himself, "I have to open that tower, no matter what, or my life will be ruined." Aladdin is puzzled and asks him, "What tower is that?" Alibaba is surprised by his ignorance, but begins to explain. He tells Aladdin that 14 years ago, many massive structures started appearing all over the world, and they were called towers. It's said that inside them are countless treasures and magical items beyond compare. But the most prized of all are the vessels of the genies, weapons of immense magical power. The person who can open a tower will gain that power and change their life. As he's telling the story, exhaustion takes over, and he falls asleep. Aladdin looks at the flute he has with him and says, "It looks like we might be able to find someone from your kind, Gu." In the morning, they go out together. Alibaba points to a massive structure in the center of the city and tells Aladdin that it's the Amon Tower, the 7th dungeon, which appeared 10 years ago. Thousands of people have lost their lives trying to open it. He vows to be the one who can conquer this tower and all the others, quickly and before anyone else. They then arrive at the market, and as they're walking, they bump into a girl with red hair. Alibaba tries to help her, but she quickly gathers her things, says thank you, and continues on her way. At that moment, Aladdin notices chains around her ankles. Yes, my friend, the girl turns out to be a slave. She's trying to hide the chains out of embarrassment, and because of that, everything she was carrying falls. Aladdin doesn't understand any of this. Alibaba explains to him that slaves are people who have lost their freedom and are now bought and sold in markets, treated like animals for their entire lives. Aladdin then blows into his flute and breaks her chains, telling her, "There, now you don't have to hide your legs anymore when you walk." At that moment, people start gathering around them. Alibaba exclaims, "Have you lost your mind? How can you free a slave that isn't yours to free?" But Aladdin still doesn't understand. At the same time, the merchant arrives and says to him, "You must know that stealing slaves is a serious crime. How do you plan to compensate me?" Alibaba denies it, saying there's no way they could have broken chains like that. The merchant replies, "I'll let it slide this time. But don't forget, if you don't compensate me for the goods I lost, I'll make you a slave just like her." You know how hard a slave's life is, right? Even if someone just threw you down and kept stepping on you, you couldn't utter a single word. Aladdin gets angry at this and tells him, "Stop." The merchant then calls for the guards, saying, "Looks like you're asking to get beaten." At that moment, Aladdin plays his flute, and suddenly, a giant hand emerges, pushing back all the guards. The hand creates a strong barrier, stopping them in their tracks. Everyone standing there is in shock. In that moment, Alibaba seizes the opportunity, grabs Aladdin, and they quickly flee the scene. They go to hide underground. Aladdin tells him that what he just saw was his friend, Ugo, whom most people call a jinn. Alibaba says, "Just as I suspected, that flute is one of the legendary vessels of the genies. That means he's a dungeon capturer. Until now, no one has entered the Amon Tower and come out alive. As long as he's with me, my chances of success will increase." On the other side, news of what Aladdin did reaches the city's governor. The governor tells the merchant, "I heard you're traveling tomorrow. In that case, I need a favor from you." That night, the merchant goes to Alibaba with his guards and tells him, "You have two choices. Either you work as my slave to pay off your debt, or you'll be thrown in prison for the rest of your life. What do you say?" Alibaba replies, "Is that even a question? I'll work as a slave, of course." In the morning, they go to prepare the cart, and we learn that the goods they'll be transporting are grape juice, a gift from the governor of the city to the governor of a neighboring city. We also see that the same girl with the red hair is coming along with them, along with some other slaves. Alibaba isn't happy about about the situation, but his hands are tied. The journey begins, and the merchant starts philosophizing, telling them that everyone in life must know their place and not aspire to anything higher. A rich man's son is born to be rich, and a slave's son will remain a slave forever. Don't you agree? Alibaba replies, "Of course, your words are all wisdom." Aladdin looks at him and says, "You're lying. If you keep this up, the day will come when you lose your credibility with people, and even with yourself." At sunset, desert plants appear and start chasing the cart because of the grape juice inside it. The wheels break, and the workers decide to save themselves, abandoning the goods and running away. In the midst of all this, a piece of ground breaks apart, and one of the slave's daughters, along with a red-haired girl, falls in. The mother of the girl starts screaming, begging for anyone to save her daughter, but no one cares. The merchant decides to take advantage of the plants being distracted with the two girls and starts gathering the goods. Alibaba watches them dying, unable to do anything but stare. The merchant says to him, "What's wrong with you? Just sitting there. Get up, hurry up, move the goods. And you, stop crying and help us gather the goods. I promise I'll pay you extra to compensate for the loss of your daughter." At that moment, Alibaba explodes with rage. He punches the merchant in the face and curses him, saying, "Are you comparing a human life to some rotten barrels? You're a true pig." He grabs one of the barrels and jumps in after the two girls. His plan is to throw the barrel into the plant's mouth so it drinks it, gets intoxicated, and releases them. But its mouth is closed, and he can't open it. Aladdin then plays his flute. Ugo emerges and opens the plant's mouth. Alibaba seizes the opportunity, throws the barrel into its mouth, and goes to get the girls out. But unfortunately, the barrel wasn't enough. The plant wakes up again. At the very last moment, he manages to pull them out, falling in their place. It seems like this is the end for him. Aladdin then removes the turban from his head, which transforms into a magical flying carpet. As Alibaba is drowning, his life flashes before his eyes. He thinks to himself, "All my life, I was a liar. I was helpless and always tried to run from my fate. That's why I thought I needed money and power. But in reality, that's not what I truly wanted." Suddenly, he finds Aladdin above him, saying, "See? I told you you were lying. From now on, I want you to tell me more about yourself and about the things that money can't buy." Amidst the merchant's shouting, he throws all the barrels into the plant's mouth. Its entire body becomes intoxicated. And so, my friend, things end well. From a distance, the governor had seen everything and recognized Aladdin's true identity. The girl returns to her mother, and Aladdin takes Alibaba aside, telling him, "I want to ask you for something. I want you to be my friend." And this turns out to be the wish he had asked Ugo for, to have Alibaba as his friend. Alibaba, of course, agrees. Meanwhile, the merchant is still shouting in the background, threatening to turn them into slaves, but Ugo simply flicks him away. He takes Aladdin and Alibaba, and the three of them embark on their first adventure together, their journey to the magical tower, Amen. By night, they reach the tower's location. Aladdin collapses from exhaustion, and they enter together. They wake up inside the tower to find themselves in the middle of water, with a strange smell in the air. Alibaba quickly realizes it's gasoline. He grabs Aladdin, and they run frantically before the lake can ignite around them. Outside the entrance, we see the governor and his men. The governor says, "I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. This is the moment I will reach the pinnacle." Meanwhile, Aladdin and Alibaba continue their escape until they fall down a slope. They stop to rest for a while, and Alibaba notices that Aladdin is exhausted and can barely move. Aladdin explains that he just needs to eat, nothing more, because summoning Ugo drains a lot of his energy. Alibaba tells him not to worry, that he'll find a solution for the food situation. As he's talking to him, he notices a giant ant sitting beside him, and Aladdin is inside the mouth of one of the insects. He quickly pulls him out of its mouth, and insects start hatching all around them from every direction. Alibaba begins fighting them, but the insects merge together to form a giant monster that breathes fire. Aladdin blows into his flute more and more, and the mana from their surroundings starts gathering into Ugo's fists. With all his might, Ugo punches the monster, slamming it down with such force that the ground is destroyed. Afterward, Ugo faints. They go to rest inside a cave. Alibaba says to himself, "Even though he doesn't know me, he was willing to sacrifice his life for me. I've decided, as soon as he wakes up, I'll tell him everything. I'll tell him about my past and the real reason I entered this tower." A little while later, the governor and his men arrive at their location. Alibaba is shocked to see him. Before he can even turn around, he finds the same red-haired girl standing behind him. From behind her, the governor says, "So, this is where you've been hiding." And it's revealed that she is his slave. He bows to Aladdin and says, "I've been waiting for you for 10 years, O survivor." He takes him and is about to leave, but Alibaba asks him, "Where are you taking him?" And the governor replies, replies, "Your part is over," and orders one of his guards to finish him off. The guard draws his sword and is about to kill him, but Alibaba dodges and holds a dagger to his neck. The governor is impressed by his skill and says, "It seems I underestimated you. As for you, you son of a dog, you deserve death." He then viciously stabs his own slave repeatedly. Alibaba is shocked by the governor's character. The governor says to him, "How would you like to work for me? Unfortunately, all the slaves I brought with me I used to bypass the traps we encountered in the tower, and I only have these 2 left." Alibaba is bewildered and asks, "Aren't you supposed to be the governor of this region?" He replies, "Yes, I'm in charge here." Continuing to beat the slave as he speaks, "Do you imagine someone in my position would be satisfied with being responsible for a small area like this? I would never accept that situation. That's why I will open this tower and appoint myself king. Anyone who tries to stand in my way, I'll eliminate." Faced with this, Alibaba is forced to agree. They begin advancing through the tower until they reach a path covered in flames. At its entrance, there's a stone with writings in a strange language. Alibaba says it's the Tauran language. The governor is impressed and says, "Bravo, but it's strange. Mastering this language requires a high level of education." Alibaba tells him, "I heard it's necessary for the towers, so I tried to learn it on my own." They start reading the inscription on the stone, but the governor's education is limited, and he can't complete it. Alibaba begins to read, and the translation is as follows: "Dance around the years of flame and seek the truth in the dragon's fangs. There you will find the truth, and at the end of its tale, your goal will be waiting for you." That's the translation. The governor then stabs him and says, "That's what I was going to say, by the way. Since you're so clever, prove to us that your translation is correct." Alibaba is afraid, but he tells himself, "Aladdin risked his life for me. Now it's my turn." He indeed begins to step through the years of flame and dance around them, just as the inscription said. He manages to bypass all the traps and reaches the dragon's head. This is the key. He puts his hands inside its fangs, and at that moment, the flames cease. The governor and his men begin to cross, but suddenly, fire shoots out from the dragon's head, engulfs Alibaba, and turns him to ashes. The governor says, "What a pity. Oh well, just a dog gone," and they continue on their way. A little while later, Aladdin wakes up and finds the governor in front of him. The governor explains to him that Alibaba stole his flute and left him to die, and that he, the governor, was the one who arrived and saved him at the last moment. Aladdin is puzzled, but decides to go along with it. The governor starts introducing him to his slaves, telling him that the big one is called Goltus and belongs to a famous tribe in the north, and that the red-haired girl is called Morgana and comes from a clan of hunters in the Dark Continent. She possesses a keen sense of smell and strong legs. He then tells Aladdin that he's going to explore the area around them and leaves Morgana with him to watch over him. Aladdin tries to talk to her and says, "I heard you're from the Dark Continent. Can you tell me about it?" She replies, "It's not dark at all. That name is given to the poor regions in the south of the Rem Empire. My homeland isn't like that. In my homeland, there are many villages and clans you can live in. The sun is always shining there. The lands are vast, and there are many giant animals and delicious fruits." Aladdin says, "It sounds like a beautiful place. How about, when we get out of here, you take me to your homeland?" She tells him, "Impossible. I'm a slave. I'm not allowed to leave," he says. "But if you break these chains, you could," she responds. "You don't understand. The governor is a terrifying person. Even if I break the chains, I can't escape." He says, "It seems there are other chains besides the ones on your legs." He asks her, "Where is Alibaba?" She tells him, "Your friend is dead. He died because he tried to help others, even though he couldn't even help himself." Aladdin was about to cry and get emotional, but then he finds Alibaba above him. He jumps up, and Alibaba says to her, "I have 7 lives." At the same moment, the governor was struggling with monsters and calling for Aladdin's help. He sees Alibaba in front of him. Alibaba says to him, "No offense, but I lied about the translation. The real translation was, 'Dance around the years of flame, for the truth is inside the dragon's fangs, and at the end of its tail, the crossing will be waiting for you. Thanks for letting me find the right path." Aladdin then removes his turban, and they fly away on the carpet. "Good luck to you, but it's not that easy," the governor shouts at the top of his lungs, and Morgana flies after them. "Indeed, my friend, the girl has incredible leg strength. She scales the walls with terrifying speed and was about to catch up to them, but luck was on their side. She falls to the ground, and the governor kicks her, curses her, and stabs the other slave as well. He is literally insane." On the other side, Aladdin and Alibaba reach the treasure room and find handprints on the gate. They place their hands on the gate and speak the famous words, "Open, Sesame." The gate then opens, and the walls around them begin to fade away. From the center of the tower, a beam of fire appears. It seems this is the chamber of the jinn. At the same time, the governor is struggling with the fire monsters and doesn't understand what's happening. Again, he starts beating poor Morgana, telling her, "This is your fault." Meanwhile, Aladdin and Alibaba reach the jinn's chamber and find inside a large number of petrified ancient artifacts. But suddenly, the governor and his men appear. Morgana delivers a powerful kick to Aladdin, sending him flying into the wall. The governor is furious and orders Morgana to go watch Aladdin, leaving Alibaba to him. He tells Alibaba, all of this is your fault. Because of a worthless peasant like you, someone like me has to go through all this suffering. Alibaba replies, we're in the tower now. Status and reputation mean nothing here. If you're so scared, go back home and cry there. The governor gets even angrier, and the fight between them begins. He circles around Alibaba, saying, a fool like you doesn't know that I received special training in the royal dueling style. Only members of the royal family are permitted to learn it. He attacks, aiming for Alibaba's leg, but Alibaba dodges. He attacks again, and again Alibaba dodges. He keeps striking, and Alibaba skillfully evades every single blow. Alibaba tells him, your defense is full of holes. Your neck, your elbow, your shoulder, all vulnerable to injury. Didn't your trainer teach you anything? He disarms him, knocking the sword from his hand, and says, you didn't learn your lessons well. The governor is terrified. That is the authentic royal dueling style. Who exactly are you? Alibaba says, even though I tried to forget the past, it seems my body refuses to forget. The governor then cries out for Morgana. In an instant, she teleports to his side and delivers a kick to Alibaba. Alibaba is shocked by her speed. He tries to reason with her, asking, how long will you keep serving that dog? We're in the tower now. No one will blame you if you abandon him. You could be free. Morgana starts to approach him, and Alibaba reaches out his hand to her. But she grabs him and slams him against the wall. You crazy girl! The governor laughs and says, that's my slave, Morgana. He starts stomping on Alibaba, saying, you're just a peasant. You only beat me by luck, nothing more. You have no idea about the principles of slavery. Let me show you how to use a slave. He hands Morgana his sword and orders her, kill him. I'm sure you can do it. The girl's mind has been warped by what he did to her as a child. She can't refuse. She takes the sword and approaches Alibaba. Her hand trembles with fear. She doesn't want to kill anyone, but she looks at the governor and feels she cannot disobey. It seems this is the end for him. She's about to kill him when, suddenly, a magical blast shatters the sword. Aladdin has finally woken up. Mana is gathered around him, and he seems like a different person. He helps Alibaba up, turns to the governor, and says, give me back my flute. The governor replies, try to take it by force. Aladdin then grabs his scepter and begins to use a magical incantation. Mana gathers around him intensely, and everyone around is stunned. Morgana tries to attack him, but he holds her back with his power. The governor is amazed. He exclaims, this is exactly as my mentor told me. These are the Magi who choose kings. Finally, you've appeared, just as my teacher said. You are the one who will guide me to power. He tells Aladdin, you must choose me, O Magi. You know Morgana is from the Finalis tribe. A single kick from her killed a lion and turned it into pieces. Indeed, Morgana breaks through the barrier and attacks him, but with a single motion, he pins her to the wall. He goes to the governor and says, give me the flute. The governor returns it to him and asks, you're going to make me king, right? I've waited for you for so long to choose me. I did everything. I exploited the people and imposed heavy taxes on them, and that's how I managed to turn this city into a prosperous land. So choose me. Aladdin looks at him and says, I don't know what you mean by me choosing you, but you don't deserve to be king. He leaves him and walks away. He then goes to Alibaba and says, come on, let's continue our adventure. But suddenly, a large number of magical spells are activated, and the jinn appears before them. He says, my name is Amen. Which of you wants to be the king? He looks at the governor. You? No. He looks at Morgana. You? Still no. He sees Aladdin and immediately bows to him, saying, welcome, O Magi. At that moment, the flute begins to interact with him, and Ugo emerges from it. The moment Aman sees him, he is shocked. They begin communicating in sign language, and none of the bystanders understand a thing. After their silent conversation, Aman says, now I have a general idea of the situation. My name is Aman, the jinn of strife and discipline. I hereby declare that this tower has been conquered by you. Alibaba is overjoyed and starts gathering the treasures. Aladdin tries to talk to Aman and asks him, what does Magi mean? Aman looks at Ugo and explains, the Magi is the one who chooses the king. As long as there are humans, there must be a just king to rule them, and the Magi is responsible for selecting that person, guiding them, and testing them. As they are talking, the place suddenly begins to shake, and a dark, magical circle appears outside the tower. Amen tells them, someone is trying to seal the exit from the outside. If that happens, we will all be trapped here forever. Quickly, he uses his power to create a magical portal and urges them to get inside before the tower collapses and they all die. But Morgana remains standing by the governor's side, refusing to abandon him. Alibaba tries to convince her, but she refuses to listen. At that moment, Goltus intervenes and stops her. He tells her, that man cannot leave here. I have also done many terrible things and killed many people. He and I are alike, but you are different from us. You can still leave. Return to your homeland, Morgana. This is my final wish. He breaks her chains. She then enters the portal with the others and watches as the place crumbles, and the governor meets his fate, receiving his just punishment for everything he did. Amun uses the last of his magic and transports them all outside the tower. Afterwards, he takes residence within Alibaba's dagger, and so, Alibaba is officially a dungeon capturer. We then see the person responsible for trying to seal the exit another Magi, but judging by his appearance, he does not seem to have good intentions. On the other side, Alibaba and Aladdin successfully made their escape safely. Each of the three was transported to different locations. Morgana was transported outside the city. Alibaba was transported along with the treasures outside the tower, and he found all the people waiting for him, cheering his name. As for Aladdin, he was transported to a distant place in the north, where one of the tribes found him and decided to take him in. 3 days passed, and Alibaba was living the life of his dreams. The merchant was now working for him, even serving him juice and food. But despite all this, he felt lost, like something was missing. One of the servants came to him and said someone wanted to meet him. He quickly ran out joyfully, thinking it was Aladdin, but unfortunately, it was Morgana. They sat and talked. Morgana asked him why he was using his treasures to free slaves. He replied, "Because that's probably what Aladdin would have done." He asked her what she planned to do now that she was free. Morgana told him she would return to her homeland. That was the final wish of the person who freed her. After talking with her, he finally decided that he too would return to his homeland. He wouldn't run away again. He would face his destiny, continuing his search for Aladdin, and then they would resume the adventure they had started together. Meanwhile, Aladdin woke up from sleep and found the village chief beside him, whom we will call Granny. She said to him, "It seems the Rook love you," he asked. "What is this Rook?" She replied, "Don't you see them? The Rook are the eternal swarm that represents the life force," he told her. "They've always helped me. Whenever I'm in trouble, these particles gather around me and lend me their power." Granny was astonished. "This is the first time I've heard of anyone being able to control them?" One of the villagers came in and informed her that the reconnaissance team had returned. They went to welcome them. We learned that the red-haired boy is named Druji, and he was the one who found Aladdin and brought him to the village. The team leader presented his report to Granny, telling her that the neighboring village had also been occupied. It seemed things were not looking good, but Drowgy and the others told her not to worry. For centuries, the Koga tribe has always succeeded in resisting the occupiers' demands. This time we will resist them too. As they were cheering, they suddenly found Ugo's arm beside them, cheering along with them. They took Aladdin for questioning, suspecting he was a spy for the Ko Empire. He introduced himself and told them he was from a city called Chishan. One of them recognized it, saying it was supposedly in the far west, a journey of 2 years on foot. Aladdin exclaimed in astonishment. 2 years! He was about to cry, but Granny reassured him, telling him he could reach it in a week if he joined a caravan. At night, they gather to celebrate, and Granny tells him that the tribe members have lived together for centuries. As a result, they have become one big family, sharing a single mind. Aladdin remembers Ugo's words to him. "You have no family. You are different from all humans. There is no one like you." But Granny tells him that from now on, he is also a member of their family. "From now on, you are also my son, Aladdin." Morning comes, and they notice Drowgy taking his sword with him. He tells them it's just a precaution, nothing more. Hopefully, the day we need to use it will never come. Their thoughts are interrupted by Aladdin, who has lost control of his horse and cries out for someone to save him. At that moment, a girl on a horse appears from behind him and manages to rescue him. She introduces herself, and it turns out she is the third princess of the Ko Empire, Hakue. Everyone is, of course, shocked. Granny also introduces herself and asks her the reason for her visit. The princess says, "The Koga tribe was once one of the greatest cavalry tribes. It was even said that the tribe's first king possessed the strength of 1,000 soldiers. But recently, the Koga tribe has weakened to the point of being targeted even by bandits. Therefore, we offer you the chance to join under the banner of the Ku Empire. Our goal is to unite the world, exactly as your ancestors once dreamed." Naturally, no one likes this proposal. They tell her, in other words, "You want to take over our village. We will never agree to that." At that moment, Toto arrives to offer them milk, but the army commander rudely pushes her aside and tells them, "It seems you've misunderstood. We didn't come here to ask for your opinion. This village is now under the control of the Ku Empire. We're trying to be kind and lift you out of this life of poverty." At that moment, Drowgy draws his sword and attacks him. The princess's aide blocks him, warning, "If you kill him, you'll be declaring war." Granny then orders Drowgy to stand down. The princess decides to take her followers and withdraw from the place. They hold a meeting, and the commander tells her, "This was the perfect opportunity to get rid of the Koga tribe. How could you waste such a chance?" She tells him, "We can't force them like this. After all, they will be future citizens of the Ko Empire." The meeting ends, and the princess stays up late, thinking of a plan to convince the Koga tribe to join them without resorting to fighting. As she is sitting there, she suddenly finds Aladdin above her, saying he came to talk with her. They begin to talk. Aladdin asks her what she plans to do with the village. He tells her, I love Granny and the rest of the village. I learned a lot from them about the meaning of family. Please don't oppress them. She reassures him, don't worry. My dream is to build a unified world, free from any fighting. I will never use my power except in the service of good and helping people. At that moment, the Rook begin to gather around her, and Aladdin is convinced she is not lying. He tells her, all right, I'll try to convince them. He mounts his carpet and leaves. But unfortunately, good things never last. Back at the village, the women of the Koga tribe are kidnapped. Drowgy and the others mount their horses and ride after them. Before they leave, Granny instructs them, do not kill, no matter what happens. If you kill even one of them, war will ignite between us. At that moment, she suddenly finds Aladdin before her, mounted on Ugo, asking what is happening. On the other side, the cavalrymen are celebrating the capture of the women. Their leader plans to sell them and reap a fortune. They are surprised to find the Koga tribe's horsemen behind them, easily surrounding all the carts. Drowgy skillfully dodges all the arrows and manages to reach the leader's cart. He disarms him, remembering Granny's words not to kill. But then he sees Toto lying on the ground, battered and humiliated. He can't control his nerves and kills him. Meanwhile, Aladdin and the others have lost track of them and decide to wait there. They talk, and Aladdin tells Granny about his conversation with the princess and her promise not to harm anyone. Granny says, but it's strange that someone can control the Rook and even summon a giant jinn. You're like the Magi from ancient legends. He asks her, can you tell me more about the Magi? I want to know more about myself. She begins to tell him. She explains that in ancient times, when no countries existed, a man emerged from among the people and asked them to build a nation and choose a king for themselves. This man used his power to manifest a tower before them and told them that whoever could overcome its trials and open the tower would gain the power of a king. And indeed, the day came when someone managed to open it and became the king. The people revered the young man who fulfilled the prophecy and called him Magi. Incidentally, the country referred to in the legend is the Great Kuga Empire. Soon after, Drowgy and the others return with the women, safe and sound, and, remarkably, without having killed any of the raiders. It turns out that Drowgy remembered Granny's words at the last moment and managed to control his anger. Granny then gathers everyone and announces her decision. I have decided that we will join the Ku Empire. What do you think is the most important thing we must protect? Is it the tribe's land? Is it our dignity? It's none of those things. The most important thing is our lives. We will not fight, no matter what happens. The true battle will be our battle against ourselves. Indeed, no one objects, and they all agree with her words. Afterwards, they celebrate together, and everyone is happy and joyful. During the celebration, Granny tells them she's going to do something and will be right back. She stands at a distance and says to herself, why was I hesitating? My mission is simply to preserve the life of our family. If something as simple as this will protect our lives, then I will do it without hesitation. But as she stands there, an arrow suddenly strikes her from behind, and she falls to the ground. Treacherous fiends! They all gather around her and find she is still breathing, but she needs to be taken to the village quickly. Aladdin quickly removes his turban, takes her, and heads for the village, praying along the way that she doesn't die. On the other side, news reaches the princess that one of the soldiers has been killed. Upon examination, it's determined that the arrow that struck him was from the Koga tribe. And of course, there's no other explanation. All of this is part of Ryusai's plotting. He tells them, didn't I tell you we should have eliminated them immediately? But the princess refuses and says she will go to the village herself to verify whether they actually did it or not. Ryusai objects and tells her, I've had enough of your behavior. Yes, you are a princess, but you are merely the daughter of the late emperor, nothing more. Your position is just a courtesy from the current emperor. I advise you to hand over command of the army to me, she replies. Do as you please. Then she takes her aide, Seishun, and they head to the village. At the same time, the villagers are burning with rage after learning that the arrow, which struck Granny, was from the Ku Empire. Drowgy tries to calm them down, reminding them that Granny asked them not to succumb to war, but their anger has blinded them, and they are determined to fight. They gather their weapons and prepare for battle. Inside the tent, Aladdin prays for Granny to wake up quickly, or else everyone will literally die. Meanwhile, Ryusai has finally gotten what he wanted from the beginning, command of the army. He tells them, to be honest, I'm now worried about the princess. She's gone for a stroll in the territory of an angry enemy without taking any guards. I don't mean to underestimate her, but I fear this might, God forbid, lead to her death. One of his followers asks, son of a bitch, were you planning this from the beginning? But why? What would make you do such a thing? Ryusai replies, do I even need a reason? Because I love war. I love watching the fools who claim to love peace reveal their true selves and start tearing each other apart like animals. At the same time, the princess was on her way, telling Seishun, I can't believe the Koga tribe would do this. I'm sure something is wrong. They arrive at a cliff and are surprised to find the Koga tribe waiting for them, armed and ready. She gets down from her horse and tells them, we came here only to talk with you. But one of the tribe members says, we've had enough of your tricks. He takes a sword and attacks her. However, Ren does not move from her spot. She takes the blow and is injured. The attacker is shocked. Ren tells them, believe me, we have no intention of fighting. All we want is to talk with you, nothing more. But one of them warns the others, don't be deceived by her words. This is the same thing she said last time. At that moment, Granny arrives and stops them all. She asks, aren't you ashamed of yourselves, fighting an unarmed opponent? Never forget who you are. Her wound is bleeding heavily, but she maintains her composure and tells the princess, the Koga tribe will submit to the rule of the Ko Empire. Exactly as you said. Our tribe has long suffered from invasion and slavery. As a result, we have paid the price with our bodies and our memories. But I will not allow my family to suffer anymore. The princess looks at her injury and says, surely one of my men did this. Granny replies, and what of it? The life of the village chieftain versus the life of the entire village. It's clear which is more important. The princess accepts her offer, saying, from now on, I myself will guarantee the safety of the Koga tribe. I will provide you with protection, and thus, you are officially citizens of the Ku Empire. Drowji asks them, what's wrong with that? Nothing will change, as long as we keep our pride within us. This is Granny's wish. At that moment, everyone throws down their swords and decides to accept reality, weeping as they do so. Aladdin, watching, understands the true meaning of courage. They chose to protect their family over protecting a piece of land. They return to the village, and Granny breathes her last breaths in a sad scene. Aladdin looks at her and says, everyone is sad for you, Granny. They all loved you. She tells him, you speak as if you are not one of them. You think you are alone in this world, don't you? That's not true. Now, in this form, I finally know who you are. The Rook are the source of life for everything in this world. And you, who can control them, you are a Magi, a person who lives with millions of souls and commands them. Therefore, you, beloved of the Rook, will never be alone. I will always be by your side. She says this to him, and then her light fades, leaving him crying. At the same time, the princess returns to the camp and is shocked to find Ryusai has taken the army and is heading toward the village. The princess asks him, what are you doing? The Koga tribe has agreed to submit to us without any war. He tells her, I knew they were cowards. Despite everything I did to them, they still agreed to surrender. Now listen to what's going to happen. After you were brutally killed by the Koga tribe, I, Ryusai, led the armies and destroyed Koga in revenge for you. She asks him, do you really think anyone will believe that a commander of 1,000 soldiers like you could lead the entire army? Ryusai gets angry and says, if you hadn't shown up at the last moment, I would have been the leader. He orders his followers to shoot her with arrows. But then, a surprise. She brings out her jinn vessel and blows them all away. Yes, my friend, she too is a dungeon capturer. She asks Seishun to buy her some time so she can prepare for battle. She calls upon the spirit of the magical tool and asks it to reside within her body, transforming her into a great warrior. This is the jinn equip. She declares, as a traitor to the Ku Empire, I, the first princess, sentence you to death. Prepare to die. At the same time, Aladdin senses a strange flow in the Rook and decides to go investigate. Meanwhile, the soldiers are struggling against Ren and her magical attacks. Ryusai, going mad, orders them to keep firing arrows, even if it means hitting their own comrades. The cunning man knows well that she will try to protect them, thus depleting her energy in a war of attrition. His plan works, and Ren begins to tire. She decides to end it with one blow and executes a combined attack with Seishun, a massive tornado of wind that sends the entire army flying. Afterwards, her energy is spent, but unfortunately, Ryusai had planned for this and had prepared a separate battalion apart from the main army. They capture her, and Ryusai tells her, once the magical energy is depleted, the main vessel becomes useless. Anyway, don't worry, I'll kill you quickly. And after that, I'll finish off your little brother, Hakuryu. Ren gets angry, steals a sword from the soldiers, and attacks him with it. But his followers shoot her with arrows from all directions, and she falls to the ground. Ryusai keeps laughing at her, and it seems this is the end for her. He raises his sword to kill her, but suddenly a fiery explosion destroys the place and stops him. Aladdin has arrived, and Ugo delivers a mighty slap to Ryusai that cools all our hearts. Mana begins to gather around Aladdin, and Ren is shocked. She asks, who exactly are you? He remembers Granny's words and tells her, I am a Magi. And just as before, her vessel suddenly begins to interact with Aladdin, and her jinn, Paimon, emerges. Ugo also emerges from his vessel, and they communicate with each other in sign language. As usual, none of the bystanders understand a thing. After their silent conversation, Paimon says, "Now I understand. But despite everything happening in the world, I have no interest except in my master Ren. For Ren is a candidate for queen, chosen by the Magi of the Ku Empire." We then see him entering the Ko Empire. It's the same person who tried to seal the gate in the Amon Tower. He's avoiding a meeting with the emperor, saying, "I can't stand that pig." He goes to Hakuryu and tells him, "How about you become the emperor? I want you to be clever and open a dungeon for yourself, just like your sister Ren did." The meaning of all these events, my friend, is that each Magi nominates a king of their choosing. And without a doubt, what happened in the Amon Tower with Aladdin was the moment a king was chosen, Alibaba. A little while later, it's time to leave. Aladdin goes to bid farewell to Drowgy and the others. They decide to gift him Granny's staff, telling him to visit them from time to time. Aladdin remembers Ugo's words to him, that if he travels around the world, the day will come when he discovers his true identity and understands his purpose for existence. He then joins a caravan and continues his journey in search of his friend Alibaba to resume their adventure together. Let's leave all that for now and check in on our girl Morgana. She has joined a trade caravan and works in the market with two other girls, transporting and selling goods. She met them 6 months ago, and when she learned they were heading to Balbad, she decided to join them. The blonde one is named Layla, and the brunette is named Sasa. They arrive at one of the cities just before Balbad and are shocked to find widespread poverty and people who have lost all will. A local tells them that recently, a band of thieves plundered the country due to the internal conflicts happening in Balbad. He advises them to leave as quickly as possible. As they stand there, they bump into a man dragging slaves by chains like animals. It's clear he is a slave trader. The next day, the caravan leader shocks Morgana by telling her the plan has changed and they won't be passing through Balbad on their route. This is because a group of thieves has taken control of the road leading there, making it their base. They even raided a caravan belonging to one of his friends and killed many of his followers. What are we to do now? The problem, my friend, is that the ships bound for the Dark Continent, Morgana's homeland, only depart from Balbad. There is no other way. Morgana asks him, "What if someone got rid of the thieves for you?" And indeed, my friend, night falls, and Morgana sneaks into their stronghold alone to eliminate them. She goes to talk to them politely, asking them to leave the place, or else she will make them leave by force. Of course, they all burst out laughing at her. A huge one among them says, "Try to make me leave then." And what we all expect happens. She delivers a powerful punch to his stomach, knocking him unconscious. The bandits take the matter seriously now and start fighting her. Inside the stronghold's main hall, the bandit chief is hosting the slave trader we saw earlier. They hear a commotion outside and find Morgana descending upon them with kicks and punches, and no one can stand against her. A giant man with an axe comes forward and tells the others, "Leave her to me." He grabs his axe and attacks her, but she delivers a kick that spells his doom. At that same moment, the slave trader watches and recognizes her. The red hair, the powerful legs, their savage fighting style. She must be one of them. The masters of the Dark Continent, the strongest tribe of warriors, the Fanalist tribe. He declares, "I'll take this girl." Suddenly, a crow flies at Morgana, attacking and injuring her with its talons. The trader says, "Welcome, daughter of the Finalis. Don't compare me to them. They are just thieves. But me? I am a slave trader with principles." As she stands there, she suddenly feels dizzy, and her vision blurs. Yes, my friend, the crow's talons were poisoned, and she loses consciousness. And here ends the first part. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to receive the rest of the parts. I wish you a nice day.